Ah, Rangers. The underappreciated, forever living in the shadow of the cool older sibling, the fighter, and the actually nature and animal-attuned druid. If you think that Rangers are just forest tour guides who shout Hunter's Mark and shoot arrows from the backline, well, you're not entirely wrong. Hello adventurers! Daisuki here. Wait a second. Ah, much better. Today, we're looking at the Ranger class, and I'll try to prove to you, and also to myself, that not only can the Ranger be a good class, but they can also be a blast to play, both mechanically and roleplay wise. Wish me luck. Look, I get it. Rangers have been a literal meme in the D&D community since way back in the day. Some say that they're the tofu of D&D classes, kinda bland, and that you need to add a lot of seasoning to make them taste good. Others think they're like avocados, either the best thing ever or a waste of space. Okay, I don't think that anyone has ever actually said that, and maybe the food analogies aren't helping either, but stick with me for a minute, it'll all make sense. Rangers have an unclear archetype. Some see them as Legolas, a tall, dexterous elf with a bow. Others think of them as the friendly pet sitter of the next door forest, and some even see them as a druidic archetype. I mean, the class is designed in such a way that this ambiguity is actually promoted as flexibility. Most depictions of Rangers show them holding a bow, yet you're expected to use a druidic focus for your spells. The reality is that the entire class revolves around keeping Hunter's Mark active, which is a concentration spell that severely limits spellcasting creativity, and while archery is fun, it doesn't always keep up with the damage output of a melee-focused Ranger because, guess what? Hunter's Mark. Yes, Hunter's Mark. The spell that's basically stapled to every Ranger's character sheet. It's great for that extra d6 damage per hit, but there's a catch. It's like you're stuck in a long-term relationship with it. Every time you see the concentration required tag, it's like your DM reminding you that your spell list is about as flexible as a golem stance moves. Okay, no, that's actually a pretty flexible golem. The spell itself does an average of 3.5 damage per hit with a 100% hit chance and about 2.45 damage per hit with a 70% hit chance. Ew.
That is disgusting. Ew.
The spell is pretty bad. I don't understand why Wizards of the Coast decided to make this the Ranger Space class spell. Who would want to use this beyond level 3? I mean, let alone in tier 3 and tier 4 gameplay. The class has been designed in such a way that if you ever decide to abandon Hunter's Mark, you basically lose your favorite enemy benefits at level 1, Relentless Hunter at level 13, Precise Hunter at level 17, and Foe Slayer at level 20. It's like losing 4 levels worth of class features because you wanted to cast literally anything else. Let's assume you do want to give it a try. In order to truly milk the spells for all it's worth, you're also practically forced into 2 weapon fighting just to get as many attacks as possible. It's just downside after downside after downside. Hunter's Mark tends to hog the spotlight, but let's show some love to other spells. With the 2024 changes, you finally become a caster at level 1, which is pretty sweet. There are plenty of strong utility, crowd control or damage spells available, like Spike Growth, Pass Without Trace for group stealth, or Goodberry for insane exploration survival. However, assuming you're concentrating on Hunter's Mark, your spell options get much more limited. Early on, you can still use Cure Wounds, Absorb Elements, and Pass Without Trace, but you're not exactly drowning in choices. Thankfully, Hail of Thorns no longer requires concentration, meaning you can stack it with Hunter's Mark for more damage. This is an alternative to melee ranges, but it means that you'll have to use spell slots to achieve similar burst damage. You lose out in the DPS run, however. The new Bark skin doesn't require concentration either, which is nice for melee rangers. Once you hit higher levels, you unlock 3rd level spells, which are mostly concentration based. By the time you get to 4th and 5th level spells, you're probably so conditioned to use Hunter's Mark that you've forgotten other spells even exist. Between 3rd and 5th level spells, you have a total of 16 options that do not require concentration. Most of them are either extremely situational, not usable in combat scenarios at all, or not compatible with Hunter's Mark. And yes, Even Swift Quiver is still a concentration spell. Imagine being able to pair it with Hunter's Mark, but no, because apparently Rangers don't deserve nice things. We were supposed to spotlight other potential nice spells beyond Hunter's Mark, but it's so ingrained in the Ranger that I can't get past it.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they...
Let's talk about roleplay, and here's where I'm going to heavily disagree with all the haters. The flexibility of the Ranger class actually makes for great role-playing opportunities. Yes, Rangers often bring to mind bows and arrows, but they don't have to all be Aragorn knockoffs. You could play a swamp-dwelling mushroom enthusiast who communicates with frogs, or a rugged city ranger who tracks criminals instead of beasts. Your favorite enemy could be a tax collector for all I care, or you could be the tax collector yourself.
What seems to be the problem?
In brief, undeclared income.
D&D is a playground, and Rangers give you plenty of room to make a character who actually stands out. The subclasses enhance these archetypes even further. The Gloomstalker is basically Batman. You can live in a cave, have bats as best friends, and track criminals. The Horizon Walker can teleport and has interdimensional beef with extraplanar creatures. And don't sleep on the Monster Slayer, that one dude running a monster extermination service, which is not really a job but almost like a weird hobby. And if you do end up with a wolf companion, at least give it a cool name like Dire Wolf or Fang McGrowley. Okay, but let's actually fix the Ranger. Wizards of the Coast initially teased that Hunter's Mark wouldn't require concentration, but then backtracked.
Now, rather than getting rid of the options, and we've brought back the ability for you to choose among a menu of options, double up on some of the options that used to be mutually exclusive. Go back to that submenu and pick another one.
Honestly, letting Rangers have double concentration might not be such a bad idea. Let me explain. Hunter's Mark could be the one spell you're allowed to maintain without losing concentration on other spells. If you lose concentration on your main spell, you lose both spells' effects. That way, you keep your class features and get to actually use other spells too. Bam! Fixed! You're welcome, Wizards of the Coast. This way, favorite enemy at first level actually makes sense and it enables you to use your spell slots. I mean, bear with me for a second. Most classes have their very special class feats like sneak attack for rogues, meta magic for sorcerers. Why shouldn't Rangers be able to hold 2 concentration spells as like their very own special thing? I mean, they're Rangers. Much of what binds their class favor with all these other archetypes is their advanced senses and ability to track prey, and it would be limited by the fact that you can only do this with Hunter's Mark. Class feats from level 2 until 13 are actually all okay. They give some extra flavor to the class and are not Hunter's Mark dependent. At level 13 you gain Relentless Hunter, and considering the changes we've made to the spell itself, I would say that this is actually a good class feat too. Now, if you're holding concentration on 2 spells and lose concentration, you'll only lose it on your main spell and not on the Hunter's Mark. That's pretty fun. The next class feats until level 20 are all fun too. Nature's Veil gives you the invisible condition as a bonus action, which is decently strong. Precise Hunter gives you advantage on attack rolls against creatures that have Hunter's Mark, which makes sense with the change we've made to the spell itself too. And Feral Senses are fun also. Blindsight for 30 feet is very flavorful and mechanically decently good. Finally, but not least, Foe Slayer. Even with the change we've made to the Hunter's Mark, at level 20 this is still a very bad feat. It definitely increases your damage, but for level 20 feet this is just not strong enough. I would keep the idea that we're buffing Hunter's Mark because Wizards of the Coast really wanted this to be the Ranger's main class feat. Let's start by renaming it, because Foe Slayer sounds lame. Supreme Hunter. Supreme Hunter keeps the same Hunter's Mark damage increase, but your weapon attacks against Hunter's Marked enemies score a critical hit on a roll of 18 to 20 and not just 20. Now, this is a level 20 feat, so it won't come up much into play, but at least you're a bit more excited to get it. Since you have advantage against creatures with Hunter's Mark, you're increasing your crit rate from 9.75% to a whopping 27.75% with weapon attacks, which is absolutely huge, especially considering that this applies to Hunter's Mark 2, which is now a 1d10 damage per hit. Additionally, you still get to use all the cool spells that the Ranger class has access to without feeling limited by it. Rangers may have been considered the meh class of D&D for a while now, but with some creativity and the right builds, they can shine just as brightly as any other class. I mean, if Wizards of the Coast backtracked for making it possible to stack concentration on Hunter's Mark, it's because indeed you can dash out good damage with it if you pair it with other spells. If you're scared that this will break your game, limit Hunter's Mark to 1 proc per round. This way, your Rangers will not feel forced to take dual wielding for the proc hunt. I must admit that making Hunter's Mark stackable in terms of concentration as a fix to the class may seem like a cheap and easy fix. The issue is that unless you're willing to rework the entire class completely, this is the only fix that works, as the class is based on Hunter's Mark. Also, the spell in itself is not bad. It's the fact that it limits the rest of the class that makes it bad. If you enjoyed today's adventure, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more magical insights. Let me know down in the comments if you've played the 2024 Ranger already and what you think of it. How would you make sure that the Ranger feels strong and engaging? If you have an idea of what the next video should be, also let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.